work. I do a lot of work with Dr. Alok Sharma actually, and with a couple of other hospitals in Bombay and Delhi from the legal aspects of the medical laws. I'm not getting into what are the laws that are applicable because unfortunately in our country the sheer number of laws that we have are so huge. Even medical laws, I mean if you have to look at them, there are more than 50 laws. Quite a few of them are not even are redundant. But so I don't want to get into that, though I mean I do have a complete list of it. That's not what we're talking. Since we're talking about stem cell, I just said, though I've just captured a few of these, I don't know what are the issues in running a hospital. But I want to, what's happening here? Yeah, if you look at various regulatory authorities which govern the medical laws, you have, of course, the Medical Council of India, you have the ICMR, and for the pharmacy, various pharmaceutical authorities. I'm not getting into those, but since the issue is on stem cell, we don't have a specific law for stem cell in the country. Okay, though there are certain countries where it, like in the US, for example, they have very detailed guidelines on this, and those guidelines almost runs into 40-45 pages. I mean, very, very exhaustive. I can share subsequently I can share the website where one can even look at it. But there are certain countries also where it's banned. But in India, it's neither. In India, it's neither there's a formal regulation on stem cell therapy or stem cell regulations. So it's very, very kind of open-ended. Okay, okay, that's why I said, for example, it's legal in countries like Switzerland, Finland, and other places in the US. But in countries like Germany, Austria, and Italy, and Portugal, it's banned. You cannot do any stem cell research work in these 4 countries.
You can do stem cell research.
You can do research. Okay. Okay, so coming down to the guidelines on stem cell research, what the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has done is they have come out with a very, very detailed guidelines on doing stem cell research. It's a booklet which runs into almost 50-60 pages where they've actually captured what is the kind of work, I think I should get closer. It's audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. These guidelines, of course, can also be seen on the website. That's why I put the link on that. For those of you who can actually, these have been developed by ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, and they were released sometime in 2013. And they have been notified now as guidelines. And they are primarily categorized into 3 categories: permitted, restricted, and prohibited, these guidelines. And there's also a review mechanism where they have actually set up a National Apex Committee on the stem cell issues, and then which oversees functions of stem cell work at a pan-India level. And it's again based at ICMR, which is behind AIIMS Hospital in Delhi. It's headquartered in Delhi. At the AIIMS Hospital, it's just behind that, where the ICMR office is there. It's headquartered there. Okay. And what it also says is they have set up an international committee where it has said who will monitor it, how will they monitor it. They have given guidelines on that, and how will it be monitored. But while it's only a guidelines, there's no specific law which says what you can do, what you can't do. So, and there are also no issue, I mean, in terms of suppose, I'm not saying somebody is doing that. If you do something which is not legally right, there's no law which says, no, you have done something wrong, you need to correct it. So it's the way it is structured from a legal perspective, it's very, very open-ended today. So as a matter of fact, I think there have been a couple of people in this profession, from my profession, who said, let's relook at the entire medical laws, make it more in a manner which can actually, some of the redundant ones, let's get it out, and let's put in processes in place where there's a proper regulation, where whether it's doctors or nurses or whoever it is, people can actually do the work in a proper manner, because today everything is very, very open-ended. Okay. Now, for example, like Dr. Sharma was mentioning, this new drugs and cosmetics act, there's an act. It's again a very, very ancient act. It's an act which came up in 1940. Okay, so that's almost what 75-year-old act. And unfortunately, in 75 years, it hasn't got changed even 75 times. Oh. I mean, there have been just very, very few changes made, very marginal changes rather. So we're still living in that. And for clinic, what they have done in 2014, last year, they have actually come out with clinical trials on new drugs. But that's again on drugs. Like Dr. Sharma was mentioning, the new act, which is right now in Lok Sabha, it's not yet cleared. It can actually do a lot more damage in terms of it gets, obviously there's a 3-step process before a law becomes enforceable. It's got to get cleared in both the Parliament, both the Houses of Parliament, then the President of India approves it, then it gets notified in the Gazette. Only then it becomes a law. It's a time-consuming process. So the way it's worded there, they have actually captured stem cell as a drug, whereas it's not a drug.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it has to get removed from that. There's a schedule which they have given, list of drugs, and one of them is stem cell in that, very clearly captured. Okay. So that's why at the bottom I have actually given saying what does it say. Amendment, it says new drug, and they have defined it as where they have in the line 2 you can see stem cells they have added. So there is actually, from what I gather, a lot of people have actually moved in applications saying please get this removed because it can impact the research work. It can impact in the medical fraternity also issues, because if once it gets passed as a law, then there's very little that anybody can do about it. Obviously, given the way things are, I mean, it's a long process. It's not something which is going to happen overnight. And from what like Dr. Sharma was mentioning, at the monsoon session, it's already been tabled in Lok Sabha, but it has to get cleared and all that. So it may take some time. It may not happen so much, which is the reason why, as a matter of fact, I do recall some 4 or 5 people have made applications saying get this removed, so that it doesn't impact this profession and it doesn't impact the research work. Okay. DCGI has also come out, that is a Drug Controller General of India. DCGI stands for Drug Controller General of India. They have also come out with a lot of guidelines on clinical trials. Okay. For example, they put things like prohibition of manufacture and sale of drugs. I mean, I'm not getting into the legal aspects of it, but they have actually set up an organization called CDSCO, which is the Central Drug Standards Control Organization, where any malpractices, unethical practices can be barred. And for example, from what I understand, I mean, I don't have the full list with me. Apparently, as of date, pan-India, there are some 75 show cause notices which have gone to different hospitals on misuse of this. And this is pan-India. 70 or 70, I mean, I don't remember the exact number, but somewhere in that range, notices have been issued to various hospitals on the kind of, not on stem cell work, partly on stem cell work and partly on other areas, because, problem is there's no regulation. And given that there's no regulation, suppose I try, of course I'm not, but suppose I'm trying to do something, instead of turning left, I turn right and do something. It's wrong. So I do understand that there are, as a matter of fact, there are a lot of notices which have gone to a lot of hospitals. You should take it up very strongly with the health minister or with the secretary of health ministry, where one should make a representation and say, just get this moved out. Maybe a kind of a joint representation or something. I mean, that can be worked out at stage 2. But this will have to be taken up before the monsoon session comes, so that it doesn't get, so that the work doesn't get hampered in future. Okay. I'm not getting into what the drug, if you look at the Drug Control Act, which is the legal act for all drugs, it runs into 1.5 pages, and in which stem cell has been covered, and the new drug. And then what they're saying is, now you have to take licenses for everything. Okay, so for stem cell also they are coming out with licensing, but once this is removed, then that licensing issue goes. So that's why I said it is very essential that we have formal kind of processes in place for stem cell therapy, because today it's very open-ended from a legal perspective. Okay, and again, if you look at stem cell, if you look at the third bullet where I have said it's okay, can create problems in research also. If this get passed in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, what they're trying to say is you can't even do research in this area. Okay, I mean the way it is worded, so which will impact in a very big way this one. So which is why I mean this has to get pushed to make sure that this gets stopped. Otherwise, it can impact. One is the aspect of business. The other is the actually aspect of even doing research. It can create problems. Okay, which is where it should stop. And the other thing which has come up is this one. There are no liabilities put. Clinical trials for new drugs. They are saying now in this new act, they are also saying that there will be a penalty if you do something without our prior approval. We'll impose a penalty of 10 lakhs on you. And you can also be sent to imprisonment for 3 to 5 years. I mean, which doesn't make sense. So if I'm doing research, okay, and just because, and the law is so vague, they're saying you can be put behind bars, and there's 10 lakhs is not a small amount by any stretch of imagination. So which is why one has to take it up very clearly with the government, with the health ministry, to get this removed. No, otherwise it will impact the profession and the work related to this area. Okay, and plus what the government has also done recently, I mean this was something which came up about 4 or 5 months back. They said if you do some research work or some clinical trials which causes damages to an individual or something like that, then they have actually fixed quantum of damages, where they have given very detailed guidelines and they have fixed formulas. How do you calculate those? I have the notifications which I can share it with all of you later. I mean, I can mark it to you, then maybe you can send it to others. Okay, and this compensation also is huge. By no stretch of imagination, it's small. So actually, the way the thing is worded, it can actually impact the research work. It can impact the medical fraternity in terms of doing work on the stem cell area.